Today on the portfolio review, we got a full recap of the week 4 DFS action. I had 2 teams finish in the top 10 of the big battle royale contest on Underdog, so we'll check out those. We have multiple deposit kingdom contests on both Underdog and DraftKings to review. Also had some fun pick'ems yesterday. We'll review my DFS lineups on DraftKings as well, which were more of a mixed bag. And of course, we'll also hit on some best ball sweats, the Guillotine League, and then we'll take a look at some Monday Night Football action. I'm Pete. This is the portfolio review.
I suffer from a debilitating condition known as atrophic chokitis.
Peter's one of the greatest depositors I've ever seen.
Trust the process. Let's go. Let's go.
I got auto match with Levitan. This is bullshit.
If I just go the other way, in that 6v6, I win all the money. All the money.
If I had 150 lineups, I'd win too.
Process over results.
Illuminati make a bitch go crazy. I don't know which one of these my baby. Bust down AP, 35 bullets in your head like KD. Bust it, bitch go bust it. And I had 10 pints with me in Russia.
Hey everyone.
Hey everyone, indeed, GMs. Dale finished 98th in the deposit kingdom. Congratulations, Dale. Fun little Sunday. Yeah, it was, I mean, it's a mixed bag. Like it was, I wrote about it in the Fantasy Life newsletter today, how it's just like everything with the NFL right now is just like agony and ecstasy. Commanders fans riding high right now, looking like one of the most exciting teams in football. And then you flip the channel over to Kansas City, where we're losing one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. So yeah, it's just like what fantasy football is, the highs and the lows. And for some reason, the lows always seem lower than the highs do high. Appreciate it, guys, here. Star Kindler ready to pour one out here for Rashi, suspending all GMs. Today we simply just M. Okay, I like that. Yeah, it's the internet chat equivalent of raising a flag at half mast here. At least we're making money on drafters. Derrick Henry, yeah, the big dog shoving it down our throats again on prime time. It's funny too that it's like some of the biggest games of the year from maybe this neck of the woods is collective fades with Barkley and Derrick Henry have been just mega primetime fantasy games. So yeah, nice of those guys to constantly remind us how we were underweight them in best ball this year. All right, I need to pour coffee. I messed up because generally I like to make a second pot of coffee, so it's piping hot. We get it, rolling here for the crew. I know Casey's going to come out of the woodwork here and judge my pour, and I'm pretty scared because I don't think I have that much coffee left in my pot right now. So we're going to try to do the best we can and just see if we can get a satisfactory pour. This isn't going to be a 10 out of 10 pour. It's not even going to crack the 9s. I don't even think it can crack the 8s. I think our ceiling here is like a 7.4. I think our median expectation is more in like the 5.8 to 6.5 range. And there are scenarios here where this is a sub 5 pour. But let's just see what happens. This is why they play the games, right? If pouring coffee was just done in the spreadsheets, we wouldn't even have to do it. This is why they pour the coffee. Honestly, a little better than I thought. I thought we were going to lose it. I don't know, something about the it's like Schrodinger's box in here of coffee. Like I can't ever tell if I have a whole pour or a half pour. The weight is all disguised by the heft of the pot itself, but that surprised me. There was more coffee in there than I thought. Undersold, over delivered. Yeah, that's what we try to do around here. Oh, here we go. Here come the reviews. Clink the mug at the end. All right. Let's dig right in here. We will start as always with DraftKings, right? Before we get to celebrate the big battle royale wins and talk about that, we got to eat the shit on DraftKings. For those of you who watched the cram on yesterday morning, which again is always available for you YouTube members, I had forgotten to register for the spy while we were on air. And so right when we finished, I went to go to the lobby, and most of the spies had already filled. There was one, the 2000 entry spy that had like a couple spots left, and I'm hitting register. And as I hit register, it had filled. So the first time in honestly, probably years, I did not get to register and partake in one of the spies. So I settled for the power sweep 3-entry max, similar kind of size contest, 4,444 entries, $150 3 max there. And I've been building 3 lineups anyways each week. So I said, we will play the power sweep. To all of my spy bros out there, I apologize. I need to be better. I need to be on my shit with the regging. I got caught up in the world of the Dawg app this week and forgot to register. I had one lineup that cashed of the 3 that I made on DraftKings. It was a Texans onslaught, had CJ Stroud, Cam Akers, Nico Collins, and Dalton Schultz in it. And then I played a little mini there with Zach Moss and Deontay Johnson in that Cincy and Carolina game. And then we had a one-off Jayden Reed and a one-off Brian Robinson, and then the Rams defense here. So really like how this lineup turned out. Nico was very popular, 37%. That was to be expected. Deontay Johnson, popular, to be expected. But, Stroud comes in at 11.8%. Zach Moss, 13%. Akers, 14.5%. Jayden Reed, that was the big win there at 7.2%. Dalton Schultz, only at 2.6%, tossing in the tight end there. So I liked this build where, Moss and Schultz were relatively cheap at their position and just playing this as, a Houston steamroll. And got some of the other pieces right. So this scores 169.8 points, finishes in 221st for a near 3x cash there. So yeah, can't complain too much about this one. Feel good about the percentages I got here on most of these guys. Just a bummer that Akers couldn't do a little bit more. And then the defense, hurt as well. I played a Caleb Williams stack on one of my other teams. So in this lineup, I did decide to use the Rams kind of playing, if that does go horribly wrong, could they potentially take advantage of it? Apparently the answer was both of those things didn't play out because DeAndre Swift hogged all of the production for the Bears offense, and the Rams defense didn't do much either. Let's just take a peek at who won. I'm pretty sure I recognize this username, Pigs in a Blanket. Took down the power sweep for 100K. They had a Jayden Daniels and Brian Robinson team, another double tight end. Holy shit. Wasn't it last week? Was it the winner of the spy had the double tight end? Again, another double tight end. I love it. In the year of everyone hating the tight end position, I log onto my feed every week, and they're like, "Let's abolish the tight end position. Let's change it to a flex, whatever." And then over here on DraftKings, people are just ripping in 2 tight ends in winning tournaments. So the rest of this team: Jayden Daniels, Jordan Mason, Brian Robinson, Nico Collins, Jayden Reed, Deontay Johnson, Tucker Kraft, Dallas Goedert in 49ers defense. So this is a fun lineup. Daniels and Brian Robinson correlated. You play Jordan Mason in the 49ers defense. You play basically a phantom Green Bay stack with Jayden Reed and Tucker Kraft. And then you jam in the 2 other kind of just, best points per dollar plays on the slate in Nico Collins and Deontay Johnson. And then a one-off Goddard in the flex at 20% ownership at 5,100. That is sick. That is sick behavior right there. So congratulations to Pigs in a Blanket there for taking it down. Surprised Akers was 15%. Feel like we got it in good with Akers. I agree too, because Akers was one of those that I think is like one of the classic things where, at least in the current landscape of DFS, right, where projections are so sharp, the sims are so sharp, there's like very few, tangible edges that are just kind of lower hanging fruit. And one of those are the murky situations that don't, reveal themselves until later in the week, right? Because there isn't the content. The projections haven't been staring at you all week. People weren't going to, ETR and sorting by points per dollar and seeing Cam Akers at the top. I believe they didn't have Cam Akers there at the top earlier in the week. I can't remember. But because of the murkiness of the Joe Mixon situation, it felt like people didn't want to explore that. And I had mentioned it in the cram. I didn't have a ton of interest in one-off Cam Akers if he was popular, but I love the idea of tacking him on to a Texans mega stack here. And I'll show you guys some of my other lineups. One of them I'm legit embarrassed to show you. There's something in one of these lineups that I don't want to show, but for the sake of transparency, I will show all of my lineups here. You got to eat the shit. This was the second lineup here. Not as embarrassed about this lineup. This was the Bears double stack I wanted to play. Caleb Williams, Brian Robinson did have Cam Akers in this one. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Jayden Reed, Brock Bowers, Deontay Johnson, and Texans D. So yeah, hit on the Brian Robinson. Jayden Reed had him in both of those top lineups. Deontay Johnson, but the main stack does not hit. DJ Moore, 11 points. Keenan Allen, 4.9 points. The Brock Bowers play did not hit. Pretty wild. I think Jacoby Myers, had like over a 40% target share yesterday, and Brock Bowers' target share dropped, which seems weird considering Devontae Adams was out. But it is what it is. Brock Bowers at 7.4%. This lineup ended up being super contrarian. Caleb Williams, 8.4%. DJ Moore, 6.5. Keenan, 2.7. Reed, 7.2. Bowers, 7.4. And then I kind of flipped it on this one. I had the Texans defense. So yeah, nothing to really write home about here because the main stack didn't hit. But I really loved that spot for the Bears. I was playing a lot of it in Battle Royale. I wanted to have a stack here. It just felt like a good spot to get a really low owned double stack in a juicy matchup. And I think like there's scenarios where it gets there. DeAndre Swift, rolls back the clock to like 4 years ago and is playing incredible, near misses for a couple of touchdown passes in the red zone to both DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. So it is what it is. Let me see this. Are we sure the edges are sharp? I feel like myself and friend group are crushing, basically just fading the Sims. We already knew to play chalk in most spots. Well, congratulations on one of the weirdest victory laps I've ever read. My friends and I have a group chat where we are smarter than the Sims. You should keep that rolling, Jake. You should definitely keep that rolling. The Sims it's like anything with, how people talk about with AI when they're like, AI isn't going to replace someone's job. It's someone who's really good at using AI is going to replace your job. That's kind of how it is with the Sims, right? It's like the Sims aren't like the secret sauce in itself. You still have to be really good at processing, using them, running them, looking at different tweaks, 2v2s, trying to figure out what it is showing you is optimal across the slate. It's a tool. It isn't the skeleton key to help you do things. And I think the Sims have raised the floor for everyone's play. There are less bad lineups. And I know that for a fact because I was the one making bad lineups a lot of the times when I wasn't checking these relative to the Sims. And I had too many fancy plays. I was over leveraged, too galaxy brain. And I think the Sims have like reeled people back in. But if you have a way to exploit the Sims, you should definitely continue to do that. But all of the different Sim products are always going to be still dependent on what is being fed to them. So whether that's SaberSim, whether that's Stochastic, whether that's Sim Labs, whether that's the solver, all of those results are driven by their internal projections. So it's a weird thing to say, like, better than the Sims. All of these Sims are still pulling from different sources. A lineup that graded out really well in the Stochastic Sims might grade out awful in the solver, in vice versa. So always worth kind of highlighting like what's actually happening with the Sims. But I guess if I do agree with you on something, Jake, it is like NFL is still a sport where you can hand build successfully. I think of the Sims as like guardrails, like going to bowl and having the bumpers up on the side. It's just going to make it harder to make egregious mistakes. It doesn't mean that you're going to bowl a strike every time. I kind of like that analogy. There you go. Let's see here. The Black Lebowski. We need to stop going out for Caleb because the QB we have at home is Sam Darnold and he's better for us. I don't understand this question. We need to stop going out for Caleb. I mean, Caleb in an awful game last week threw 375 yards. So the ceiling there is there for fantasy. And this Los Angeles Rams team had just been lit up by Brock Purdy with just Jawan Jennings and Jordan Mason on his team. So I liked the spot there for Chicago. And I do think there's a decent amount of scenarios where this game plays out really well. They were successful. It just all happened on the ground. I mean, DeAndre Swift ended up being what? Was he the running back one? Let me go to DK Live here and see if I can confirm that. I'm pretty sure he was the RB1. Yeah, DeAndre Swift, or it's Derrick Henry and then DeAndre Swift. So yeah, DeAndre Swift, 16 rush attempts for 93 yards and a tutty, 7 receptions for 72 yards, finishes as the RB2. All right. Now, you know, I'm defending the Caleb Williams lineup. Now I'm going to show you a lineup that I don't want to show you. I need to take a sip of coffee for this. Scores 81.42 points. The envelope, please. This team was an Atlanta Falcons onslaught. Kirk Cousins, Drake London, Darnell Mooney, and Kyle Pitts. That was the part I didn't want to tell you guys about. The running backs, Josh Jacobs and Zach Moss. It also had George Pickens on it and Rashee Rice, rest in peace, in the Steelers defense. 81.42 total points. Just an absolute humdinger of a lineup. Look, I played Kirk Cousins at 0.7%. Jake, I'm back on your side because I'll tell you one thing, Jake. The Sims didn't want me to play Kirk Cousins. I had to force that one in there. The Sims certainly didn't want me to play Kyle Pitts. Had to force that one in there. That was old Petey cracking his knuckles in bullying the Sims. I said, me and my friend group know better. And my friend group, which is just me and the demons inside my head, decided it was a good spot for this Atlanta passing offense. Lord Almighty. Look at that George Pickens, though. George Pickens, 11.6%, 20.3 points. Should have just fucking stacked him up with Justin Fields. But no. Had to onslaught the Falcons offense. I will say their defense scored the majority of their points. I gave out one side. You know, the cram, we generally focus on DFS and pick 'em. I said I placed a sizable bet on the over in that Atlanta-New Orleans game. It was set at 40. I was like, that's absurd. That's an absurd number. So we ended up getting to 50 points there. So that bet was able to cover the losses in entry fees on onslaughting fucking Kirk Cousins. Jeez. And then you just, I mean, the Rashee Rice stuff is just so gross. You know, we head into Sunday and there's basically 2 wide receivers who are ascending to superstar status that weren't perceived as superstars. You know, Nico Collins and Rashee Rice. Both of them were underpriced in DFS relative to their new roles, their talent, what they had been doing as far as consolidating targets. And to lose Rashee Rice now for the whole season was one of the brightest spots. Like, you know, the Chiefs offense was frustrating and it was built around Rashee Rice. He was going to be an uber smash for anyone who drafted him in best ball. There was a point this offseason where he had fallen to the 7th and 8th round because of suspension worries. He slowly ticked up. Sharp drafters kept hammering him. He was going at the 3-4 turn at one spot. And even I was like, man, a little sticker shock here on Rashee Rice. No, it was still too cheap. Rashee Rice should have been a 1-2 turn pick had we known this role. And now we don't have him for the rest of the season. And now we get to watch fucking the dust of Travis Kelce and Justin Watson and Juju Smith-Schuster. I'll let Davis do the rest of the Chiefs tilting, but as someone who drafted a decent amount of Rashee Rice, as someone who's seen lots of people in the Deposit Kingdom Discord who had a ton of Rashee Rice, way more than me, let's lift our glasses because it's brutal. It fucking sucks. All right, so I'm done looking at this lineup. Let's head over to the Deposit Kingdom Weekly League. I tossed these same 3 lineups in here. Looks like my Stroud lineup finished in 55th place. If you guys are new around here, we do have a weekly league on DraftKings. It's a rake-free league. We've been doing a $10 3 max. Every single week, I make this contest bigger. This week, we were up to 900 entries with a $1,250 top prize. The contest still filled. I can't remember exact. It was full by the time I went live for Block Party on Friday. So it has been filling fast. I know the link has been maybe getting circulated outside of the Deposit Kingdom. So, some of the interlopers are in there, stealing, some of the entries. So this is how we fight back. This is how we beat the non-Deposit Kingdom terrorists. You guys get in the Discord. The only place I post the link myself is in the Deposit Kingdom Discord, in the announcement section. It'll go live in there on a Tuesday. I tag everyone who's in the server. And so you have no excuses because I don't believe it's filled on a Wednesday yet. So I think if you get in there on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, you'll be good. Once we get to Thursday, all bets are off. And then I'll review the top lineups here every week on the portfolio review. So in first place here with 200.7 points, we have Tone G 2002. And I believe I got tagged on Twitter. A friend of Deposit Kingdom Royalty, This Is Fine, takes down the tournament here, had a CJ Stroud double, the correct double. The correct double with CJ Stroud was Nico and Diggs, not Schultz like I did it. And then played Jordan Mason, Chuba Hubbard, did have Brian Thomas Jr. on the bringback. That was very sharp at 5,400 and 5.4% ownership. Had Dallas Goedert at tight end. And then Trey Tucker in the flex. Trey Tucker, one of those rare, sub 4K popular punt wide receivers who actually hits. If you're getting 15.4 points from a $3,600 receiver at only 17% ownership, you are very thrilled about that. And then you had the Falcons defense, who seemingly scored more points than my Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Kyle Mooney combined. So very nice lineup here from Tone G, 200 points. What would that have done in the big one? Sorry, I'm sorry to do this to you. I'm really sorry to do this to you. Okay, you would have gotten third. If that was in the big spot, you would have gotten third for $30,000. But $30,000 is nothing. You can't take that to the grave. Do you know what you can take to the grave? You can take $1,250 and telling everyone in your life that you're the Deposit Kingdom weekly fucking champ, Tone G. That's what's actually worth something in this world. DK Dub finished second. Oh, there's Tone G in the chat. Congratulations, brother. Another CJ Stroud lineup. Holy shit. Do my eyes deceive me? Do I see Eric All in this lineup? Oh my God. What do we have here? CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs. Okay. Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones, Jayden Reed. Okay. Xavier Legette at 4,800. I thought it was pricey. Apparently not. But then Eric Goddamn All Jr., 2.75%. Stone Min gives you 6.8 points. Also has the Falcons D. This is a wild lineup. Like, everything about it makes so much sense to me. The Legette play, I just had a hard time getting to at that price. And then Eric All, I mean, who am I to complain about punting it off at wide receiver in the year 2024 of our Lord? What a team. What a team. I love that. Xavier Legette and Eric All. DK Dub. DK Dub stays winning. Deke 971 finishes in third. All right, here's our first Justin Fields lineup. I was waiting when we were going to get one of these. Justin Fields drops 35.98 points. Unbelievable there. George Pickens, you stack it up, getting those two at a combined 17%. Ownership, Pickens goes for 20. You have Brian Robinson, 23 points. Chuba, 25 points. Nico, 36 points. Evans, that was a really nice play. 5.7% ownership. He drops 23.4. You toss in Bretton Strange at tight end at 3,100. He gives you 4.9. And then you flex Jordan Mason and Texans defense with a snowflake there, but it doesn't matter because you hit on basically everything else. Very nice team there. Yeah, I mean, the Russ stuff, the amount of massaging of his ego and coddling him to spin zone it as not like a benching or that he didn't lose the job. It's some incredible stuff. out there, how much they are carrying water for Russell Wilson's fragile ego. But shout out to Justin Fields, playing awesome. It's pretty ironic that they're 3-1 in his nuclear fantasy game is in the one game they lose. But it was really nice to see that this ceiling was still in his bag, because there were all the whispers, oh, he's just a game manager. They're not going to let him cook. They're not going to let him throw over the middle. But then you see everything come together here. 312 passing yards, 55 rushing yards, 2 rushing TDs, just everything you get excited about with Justin Fields. Let's check out Blizzy Blaine here. Also had a Justin Fields lineup to Pickens, had Bijan and Zach Moss. So not huge scores from the running backs, but then gets Nico, George Pickens, Christian Kirk goes for 19 points at a 5.2K salary. That's not bad. Again, the theme, punting it off at tight end, Colby Parkinson, 3,700 gives you 7 points. You're not going to complain about that. And then another Jordan Mason team in the flex in the Falcons defense there. So the Bijan Falcons defense, one of those funny things where it's like you're doing that running back defensive correlation, and the defense ends up being the real win of that correlation relative to Bijan's price tag. All right, let's see here. We'll review a couple more of these. In fourth place, another Justin Fields. This one had the double stack. This was another one I love where it's like, conventional wisdom. You don't even have to force a stack with a rushing quarterback. You do a skinny stack. All right, that makes sense. Rarely will you see the double stack here, but if you are going to double stack a rushing QB, I think having one of those pieces be the tight end, sub 4K, not catching a lot of ownership. It's the grossest position. You just tack on the tight end and hope they bank a touchdown. That's exactly what happened here with Freiermuth. 5 receptions, 57 yards. Even without the touchdown, he's giving you 10.7 points there, which is serviceable. And then that touchdown makes it a huge win. This team had James Conner, who got 21 points, Brian Robinson, 22. So playing both the running backs from that game is kind of a way of saying, hey, the passing game doesn't really get there. I think that's sharp. You get in Nico and a Christian Kirk little mini. You had my one-off DJ Moore play I liked there in the flex. Doesn't really pay off that salary, but enough to keep you in the mix here. And then Bears defense as well. Let's see here. Is Blizzy Blaine Kitchen's burner? You know what? I think it's a good thought, but I don't think you would ever see a Kitchen lineup up here. So I don't think it could be Kitchen here. Robert says, can I check out 85th? Can I use the feedback? Sure. Let's see here. This is you versus Red Rum 404. Is this you? Justin Fields, Brian Robinson, Najee Harris, Marvin Harrison, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Gesicki, Nico Collins, and Steelers defense. Let's look here. So Fields and Najee and Pickens. I don't mind that block of just saying they roll. You hit on that block. I do think if I'm doing Fields, Najee, and Pickens, I don't know if I want to use Steelers defense, especially at 3,300. But a Brian Robinson, Marvin Harrison mini, that looks good to me. A Deontay Johnson, Mike Gesicki mini, that looks fine to me. And then Nico Collins as a one-off here. Here's some feedback, though. Here's some feedback. You can't put Nico Collins in the flex when Marvin Harrison plays later. That's a no-no. Exactly. Flex burning for the culture. This is how you learn. You can build the most dog shit lineup out there, but as long as you have the late guy in the flex, the real ones know. They look at that lineup with Kyle Pitts and Darnell Mooney and they say, yeah, that team only scored 88, but you didn't burn the flex early, Pete. So yeah, make sure you do that. Again, if you're new to DFS and if you're wondering why, it is just to have the added optionality of being able to pivot to a non-wide receiver position. So in this example, if you had Marvin Harrison in the flex, and this is actually a pretty good example, Marvin Harrison, I actually didn't expect him to be this popular in this contest. He comes in at 29%, but let's say you did know that. Let's say you knew Marvin Harrison was going to be 29%, and you also knew that you were kind of behind. You took a 0.1 from Gesicki, 2 points from the Steelers. You said, I have no chance to win first place in this contest. And if there is 1/3 of the field that also has Marvin Harrison lineups ahead of me, and this is my last piece along with him and Brian Robinson, how can I get off that? Maybe you pivot that to a Deebo Samuel instead. But actually, what would be a good running back? We need a good example to a running back who is going to be less popular. Someone help me think of a running back from yesterday who you could have played. But the thought being, you don't box yourself in to only being able to do positional swaps, wide receiver to wide receiver. You would have been able to swap to a running back that was sub 7,500, maybe like a James Conner, etc. So that sliver of optionality, how often does it actually come into play? Probably very rarely. But when we review lineups here on the stream, everyone will judge the shit out of you if you burn the flex early. That is something I can guarantee. Okay. I think that's it for DraftKings here. Oh my God, this lineup. I just noticed I finished dead. Hang on. Is this, okay, I was close to dead last with 81.42. Why can't I scroll down and see the rest of these? It's capping me at 500. I finished 886 out of 900 in this one. Shout out to me. GG. Okay. I think that's it for DraftKings. Let's head over to Underdog where we can have happier times here and talk some Battle Royale. So I had an awesome day yesterday, specifically in the flagship Battle Royale contest. I ended up getting in 75 entries. You can put up to 150 in. I believe last week I got to 50. This week I was trying to get a little bit more. I just haven't quite had the time to get in 150 because I also love maxing all of the smaller stuff. Last week we were talking a lot about the contest selection and taking advantage of the single entry, the 3 max, the smaller contest. But this week, of course, the best lineups I had by far were in this Battle Royale and ended up having 2 teams finish in the top 10. I had a 5th place team for 5,000 and a 7th place team for 3,750. Both very similar teams. They were just a 2v2 off of each other. I'll read them to you and then I'll tell you how that happened specifically. They were Jordan Love to Jayden Reed stacks. This team then had Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones, Nico Collins and Travis Kelce. So this one was kind of a running back, quarterback, and wide receiver stack for Green Bay, including Aaron Jones, no bring back there. And then the other team, very similar. The only 2v2 was instead of Aaron Jones, I had Jonathan Taylor. And instead of Travis Kelce, I had Dallas Goedert. But basically on Sunday morning, I had a few different things where I wanted to go get in some extra lineups. I wanted to get in some Taysom Hill teams. So I fired up a handful of drafts where I was just clicking Taysom Hill. And then I wanted to stack Jayden Reed with Jordan Love. I had done a decent amount of Jayden Reed teams without Love earlier in the week. I made the Deposit Kingdom video and I highlighted Jayden Reed as one of my gems. At the time, it was still unclear whether Jordan Love was going to play or not. Once that ended up getting, more solidified on Sunday morning, I said, I want to get some Jordan Reed that's paired with Jordan Love. So I went in there and I think I did 5 drafts in a row where I finished them all with Jordan Love and Jayden Reed. And because I was multi-tabling them, I think I would have tried to diversify this one a little bit more. But it just so happened how I was drafting that I had early or mid draft slots where I got, Nico Collins at 4 here. And what in this draft, Nico Collins at 3. So I was doing basically 2 drafts at the same time from a similar pick number and juggling a few other ones. And I just so happened to get on basically an identical build with the first 4 picks. It just happened to be slight pivots of Goddard at tight end, Kelce at tight end in one, and then Jonathan Taylor in one and Aaron Jones in the other there. So kind of just like a happy circumstance to end up on such a similar build. This sweat was a lot more fun than the sweat I had last year when I had 2 teams finish in the top 10. That was in week 9 because I was in first place last year during that week 9. It was that final Eagles and Cowboys game. And then CeeDee Lamb ended up eclipsing me. A couple teams passed me, and just watching every single CeeDee Lamb catch like push you down further in the rankings. That's more demoralizing to have something and then having it take it away from you. This was a fun sweat because basically I was outside of the top 15 there for a while. And it got to the point where it was like every Jordan Mason carry was like a $1,000 or $2,000 swing. So that final drive, when they got the ball back right before the 2-minute warning, I was still outside of the top 10 with both of these lineups. And the funny thing is I wasn't even sweating the Kelce stuff as much. I kind of like blanked it out of my head for whatever reason. I just had on the Patriots game because I knew I had Mason on both of these. And even just getting a couple of carries here was huge because you can see how condensed we were at the top here. 132.58, 131.88. My guy Paul here, ADAIP 06, had a really nice lineup in 10th. I saw him hanging around. So getting even just like a couple 6-7 yard runs by Jordan Mason at the end, vaulted these up here. The Kelce one, if he gets another kind of catch there, Xavier Worthy had a catch at the very end of the game. I could have jumped this team in 4th. So that would have been, another $1,000 swing there, depending on how that did, but cannot complain. I did see this team Nate's up here at the top as well. I knew I was blocked for first for a while there with the Jordan Mason Kittle combo. I would have needed a touchdown from Kelce, and I would have shipped it with this one. But yeah, these two lineups to me are kind of exactly how I like to play battle royales. Like we can look at the ADP here. Jordan Love, ADP of 35.7. He was rarely getting drafted this week. I believe he was QB 11 is where he finished with only 6 quarterbacks getting drafted in each one of these. That puts his draft percentage really low, like sub 5%, maybe even lower than that. And then same with Jayden Reed. He was a little bit more popular. ADP of 33.4. He finished as wide receiver 15. This really inched up throughout the week. I believe when I made my video, his ADP was like 35.2. So he was not flying under the radar specifically here. And a funny quirk about this, and with battle royales, like once the top 12, 13 players are off the board, because I was multi-tabling this and I knew I just wanted to get a Reed Love team, I took him at pick 16 here in this draft. So to start it, I went Nico at 4. Then I came back and did Jordan Mason at 9. Travis Kelce. It's funny because you would have thought I would have taken Travis Kelce where I took Reed. Then I just took Reed. And then I ended up seeing that Kelce was still available there at 28. So I took him there instead of just having it flipped. And then I rounded it out. Or actually, Aaron Jones was before Kelce as well. And then Jordan Love at the end. So it's not always going to line up like this, obviously. But when you hit on a quarterback wide receiver stack that is mostly going undrafted, and specifically in combination with each other, going undrafted at a high clip, your potential to climb the leaderboard is just massive there. And Nate's there in first place also had it. Very similar lineup, just had a better running back score there, 21.4 there from Kamara versus like my 15.9 from Aaron Jones there, my 18.3 for JT. So the margins got really thin up there at the top. Everybody had Jordan Love, Nico, Jayden Reed, and Jordan Mason. And then it was just kind of like, who is your RB2 and who is your tight end? Man, yeah, dude, Jayden Reed, he is so fun to watch. Yeah, also just looking like one of the uber smashes in best ball as well. Dude's averaging over 31 points a game, whatever Jordan Love is starting. That offense is going to be so fun too. And it looks like it's going to get more condensed now with Watson missing some time. Wicks really stepped up in the second half after kind of struggling. The tight ends were looking pretty good. I mean, that team is just going to be a fantasy bonanza for as long as Jordan Love is healthy. And yeah, Jayden Reed is just a superstar. He was one of the guys I really liked drafting a lot this year across basically every format. There was lots of concerns about, him getting squeezed for targets, not running enough routes. Never forget Green Bay Packers family night where, Jayden Reed didn't run enough routes for people to want to draft him. But, Sean was always steadfast whenever we drafted on just drafting the best players. And Jayden Reed is definitely one of the best players in the league. Yeah, Paul says, I even took one Love in Dobbs. I didn't do that in the, I didn't do any other non-Reed pass catchers in the Battle Royale, partly because I didn't think you had to, because Reed, still had a low draft percentage. So I didn't think I had to get that far off the board. I actually, in the Flea Flicker, which is the 12-person draft, $75 single entry, I had a Jordan Love double stack with Reed and Dobbs. I was getting to Dobbs in the 12-mans. This team doesn't even cash, despite having Love in Reed and 18.4 points from Kyren, because it had only 4 points from Garrett Wilson, 5 points from Dobbs, and 4 points from Bowers. I guess I just needed to shift this Dobbs to Wicks here. But I think with how they were projecting, and the fact that even Dobbs wasn't getting drafted in a bunch of the 12-mans, I did not get to Wicks, although I'm a little upset at myself in the 12-mans for not getting to Jordan Addison some more. I think that was a blind spot. I think it's probably would have been too thin in the 6-mans, but he definitely should have been on the radar in the 12-mans. Let's look here at the Deposit Kingdom contest. And then I also want to check in on the Dawg Bowl, because we had a few people from the Deposit Kingdom who punched their tickets. But yeah, just to reemphasize on the Battle Royale stuff, there are way more people who subscribe to this channel and watch this channel than the Deposit Kingdom channel. You guys heard me talk about it during best ball season. I do pre-recorded, edited videos over there. I have the link pinned in the chat and down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed to that channel. I very rarely do victory laps, yada, yada. I had Jayden Reed in there as one of our gems this week. You can go and check that out if you want to circle back to it. And you can also, I've been doing an evergreen segment there. So it's not just weekly plays. I've been trying to do one kind of, strategic pillar strategy nugget for Battle Royale that you can apply to your Underdog drafts. It's a good place to catch up. And then I have the timestamps as well. So if you want to go back and learn about how the injury swaps work, if you want to learn about how to calibrate how much correlation you do based on the size of the tournament, you can go and watch those back. They're all timestamped. And yeah, make sure you guys are subscribed over there. We'll have another video out this Friday with my favorite gems, and be watching Off and On the Clock with the Badge Bros on Fridays as well. That's where we really run down all of our kind of updated thoughts on the slate. And then I'll always share my kind of final thoughts on the cram. And I mentioned on the cram that I was going to start doing some Jordan Love with Jayden Reed. And that's kind of part of the thought process updating throughout the week, right? There's your first look, then the projections come out, you have your angles you like, and then seeing on Sunday morning, what do you really want to push? And that Jordan Love, Jayden Reed ended up being a big thing for me. All right, Deposit Kingdom Weekly League. Shout out to Goat Hop Grower. Here had the Justin Fields naked, Jordan Mason, James Conner, Nico Collins, Mike Evans, Travis Kelce. So again, this is the, I think, second or third straight week we haven't had a ton of correlation in the winning Deposit Kingdom lineup. Last week had the Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. This one here is just a combination of all the best plays, but the real kind of win here is Justin Fields, who was not getting drafted a ton, I would guess, in this contest, with only 1,100 entrants, that Justin Fields was on what are we guessing? Maybe less than 25 rosters here. So getting a 31 ball here, almost 32 points from a nearly undrafted quarterback, is going to do wonders for you. This draft got Nico at 4, Jordan Mason at 9. Let's see here. Travis Kelce at 21, Connor at 16, and Evans at 28. And then Fields, that final pick, at 33 here. Goat Hop Grower, very nice team there. And it's crazy too, because could have won here correlating, George Pickens with Justin Fields, could have probably won with Freiermuth correlated with Justin Fields, but didn't even need to get there, because you don't have to be as perfect in a contest with only 1,100 people versus one with 60,000. So shout out to Goat Hop Grower for taking down the Week 4 Deposit Kingdom Weekly League. For those of you guys who want to hop in this contest going forward, This posts every Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern. You can set your watch to it. It goes live when we are on the air for Off and On the Clock. And we draft a few teams when it goes live. And it's been filling on Saturday mornings. So you end up having, I don't know, a little less than 24 hours to get your entries in here. Let's check out second place Clarky here with 3 Ys. Also had a Justin Fields, a naked Justin Fields. This one had Kamara, Brian Robinson. Also had Nico, Deontay Johnson, George Kittle. There were a lot of ways to win this week. You know, we continue to see a bunch of different running backs appear here, specifically in the smaller contests, right? Like the very best plays bubble up to the top in the super large field contest. But between Fields and Jordan Love, there were lots of different ways you could go. Baker Mayfield would have gotten you there in a lot of spots as well at the quarterback position. It does seem like Nico was kind of the fixture of all the top lineups, because you basically had to sidestep the 101, 102, where Barkley and Breece Hall were going, 1-1, 1-2 in almost every draft. So you kind of needed to be from a middle slot unless you had a big stand and were taking one of these guys over the running backs. Shout out to ETR. They did have Nico Collins as 102 in their ranks. They had Breece Hall 101, but had Barkley a little bit lower. But yeah, it was going to be hard to win if you were drafting off at ADP with an early slot this week. And then it kind of paired up well as well. Like if you had Nico at 4, a guy like a guy like Jordan Mason or Alvin Kamara was often available at that next pick. So you can kind of see how sometimes the ADP in the pick slots will funnel you to what ends up being kind of the optimal construction for a given week. But shout out to Clarky here with another nice lineup. And let's check out third place as well. We got Dusty 16 here. Did have the Jordan Love to Jayden Reed with the Justin Jefferson bring back, Jordan Mason, Alvin Kamara, and George Kittle. Really nice team here. You see the only difference is just not having Nico Collins. What ends up being the difference there? Because Justin Jefferson has 17.5 points and Nico has 27. So that's the huge difference. A 10-point swing there from your first round pick. If Clarky has Nico, if Dusty has Nico on this team, then they ship the contest by a long haul there. So the margins are super thin in these. I see EDN, a Reg Crusher here, also had a Fields naked lineup with Kamara, Brian Robinson, Nico, Marvin Harrison, and George Kittle. Shout out to everyone here who cashed in the Deposit Kingdom tournament. I need to pour a little bit more coffee. Yeah, the Kamara was dropping a good bit. I kind of thought it was weird. I did notice ETR had him lower in their rankings. I thought it was weird that he dropped after we got the positive injury news. I think he missed practice. What was it on Wednesday, which was, veteran rest day, whatever, was questionable. But then we got the report. He was good to go. Nick Underhill had the report, all the reporting. And then his ADP never kind of recovered because he was, I think at the beginning of the week, he was like ADP of 8, 9. And then, I noticed the same thing. Like there were some spots where I was getting him at 14, 15, 16, where people really got off of him. And again, things change week to week. But one thing that has, I think, over and over proven itself to be a sharp strategy is if you can just buy the dip on projectable running back volume in these contests, you will often do well. The past couple of weeks, Jonathan Taylor has probably been underpriced ADP wise relative to his role. He's not losing carries to anyone. And I know he's injured now, but just as an example, just projecting for a shit ton of touches. And because of the matchups, what was it? 2 weeks ago, people were worried about Chicago. They didn't love the Steelers matchup yesterday. And yet both weeks he gets there because the volume is so good. Same thing with Kamara, right? I understand the injury Q tag spooks people, but then we get word that he's off the injury report, and we know he's not going to cede carries to anyone other than a handful of touches to Jamal Williams. So when the running backs are dropping who project for, 18, 19, 20 plus opportunities, I think that's a spot to always take stands when you can. JT, Kamara, I'm sure there's some other good examples I'm forgetting, but in general, I think the field is kind of overreacting to matchups and in injury stuff a bit too much. Yes, Kyron, another great example of that. 2 weeks ago, had what, the 30 ball there? Was it against the Niners? Yeah, against the Niners. Same thing. Like, Kyron's been really inefficient. He was super inefficient 2 weeks ago. It does not matter when Sean McVay is giving him the ball 25 plus times. So I think just something to file away there. And then on that same side of that coin, the late picks too, and it's thinned out a little bit because of injuries and just like the available pool of running backs kind of shrinking. But especially early on in the season, some of the best picks are who are the running backs who project for a ton of touches that are going super late that aren't getting drafted. So, in the 12-person drafts, you'll have, I think it was one of those weeks too, where like ETN was going in the last round and still projected well. I'm sure there's better examples there, but yeah, just chasing the volume, chasing the targets there seems to work out. Yeah, people mentioned the YouTube stuff is for the ads is autoed. They do it themselves, but I've been hearing more and more feedback that it's annoying. I will look into it. I am not manually setting those. I actually have it set as to do medium. They give you options for how much. I do not have it set for high, but I've noticed multiple people saying that I am going to look into it and make sure that is not ruining the viewing experience, because that is not the intention. So yeah, they let you choose your ad frequency, and I'm going to need to see why it is populating so many ads there. All right. As far as let's take a look at the Dawg Bowl. The Dawg Bowl here. So I was looking at the top of the leaderboard last night. It was a day of heartbreak and excitement at the top here. We have three guys: Cowboys 282, Magic, and Mathology. A lot of you guys in the kingdom are very well aware of Mathology, one of the Bonk Bros here, the guy always wanting to jam the double Ds in Showdown. One of our favorite members in the Deposit Kingdom. If you guys watched the world's fastest slow draft, you saw Mathology there. And the best thing about this story about Mathology qualifying is he was traveling for work this week, and in the Discord, it was like every night, I think he was at some kind of conference or whatever. He was, clearly out for, happy hour, post dinner drinks or whatever, just posting these absurd cocktails. He posted one where there were ducks, little rubber duckies in his drink. And he said that he, one of the nights after, drinking at this work conference, went and drafted this team. And now he's headed to the Dawg Bowl. Mathology. So this team, Justin Fields to George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth. So again, that Fields double stack there has Jordan Mason, of course, Nico Collins, and then Xavier Worthy as the gem here. What a lineup here from Mathology, getting just a huge chunk of points from that field stack, and then just hitting all of these other spots, getting that late Xavier Worthy, or I guess that touchdown happened, in the first half, but then having that touchdown propel him up to the top. So Mathology going to Dallas. He is going to be an awesome addition to that weekend's festivities. Congratulations. Magic here, who I know is also in the Deposit Kingdom Discord, took it down with a similar Fields double stack. Pickens and Freiermuth had Jayden Reed as the one-off, Jordan Mason, Kamara. So another really sharp lineup here at the 1-2 turn. Pick 11 and pick 14, getting Mason and Kamara. Come back and take Pickens and Jayden Reed at the 3-4 turn, and then you finish it out with Justin Fields and Freiermuth at the 5-6 there. So shout out there. And then Cowboys also had a skinny stack: Justin Fields to Freiermuth, Brian Robinson, Nico, Evans, and Jayden Reed. So Fields was definitely the skeleton key to taking down a Dawg Bowl seat. And we got to pour one out for some of our friends here who just missed. So Dave, who qualified for the Dawg Bowl last year, this guy is always right at the top, knocking on the door here. This was a team you could tell was drafted super early in the week because he got Terry McLaurin on a swap. So what's so wild about this, he drafted Devontae Adams, and this had to have been Monday before Terry McLaurin went off on Monday Night Football. So the Dawg Bowl had opened Monday morning or Monday afternoon. Dave clearly hops into one of the first drafts And because McLaurin hadn't gone off yet, it made the swap that much better. Because if you draft super late in the week, the wide receiver you're getting swapped to, someone can correct me with the Dawg Bowl ADP. I mean, you're probably looking more at a fringy type wide receiver play. Maybe you're more in like the Jawan Jennings territory down there. So you get swapped to Terry McLaurin in a really good game, but just comes up narrow here. Didn't have Nico, who is huge, but you hit Mason Chuba. So apologies there to Dave. And then we got to check in on G. Don't worry, I'm getting to you. I have seen your lineup. My heart has broken for you. Sacrilegious here, super close as well, 122. So just essentially what, 1.5 points or so off of a ticket, and then only gets 4.1 points from Brock Bowers. So you get anything more here. This had the super sharp Jordan Love to Jayden Reed with the Jordan Addison bring back here. And then getting Brian Robinson at that 3-4 turn as well. It seemed like it's so funny too, right? Like you hop in these 12-person drafts and it sucks to get the late slots. This was another week where the late slots were nice because you were getting Jordan Mason, Alvin Kamara, and then you were also, a lot of people were getting forced into either Justin Fields stuff at the end or Jayden Reed on that side of the board. So it ended up being kind of a good week to have a late pick. And now let's look at our guy, Chris G. To me, this is the most brutal beat of the Dawg Bowl week because Chris G scores 120.56 points. That means he is what, three or so points off of a ticket? A 0 from Kyle Pitts. Jordan Love, Jayden Reed, Jordan Addison, Jordan Mason, Alvin Kamara. Again, another draft slot, late draft slot. Jordan Mason picked 10, Kamara picked 15. Come back and you take Kyle Pitts at pick 39 along with Jayden Reed, and then come back with the final and you get your stack with Jordan Love and then a really sharp bring back in this game. Jordan Addison coming off an injury, just like one 120-yard catch from Kyle Pitts, and Chris G punches it. So I know Chris is that's not the first time he's realizing that. It makes me feel gross. There's a lot of bad beats up here, I feel, for everyone, but for some reason the zero from Kyle Pitts is just hard to stomach. And yeah, you can see here someone said the top 3 get tickets in this. Yes, top 3 get tickets. So 10,000 and the ticket to the Dawg Bowl, and then fourth place is 1,000. And it's almost impossible to have a positive ROI in this contest unless you win. You're either playing just very few entries and you sneak out of cash, or you punch a ticket. Otherwise, it's going to be a negative ROI enterprise thing, but that's how these qualifiers and top-heavy stuff work. And lots of sharp guys bubbling up toward the top of the leaderboard here. Sacrilegious had a couple other lineups really close, had multiple Jordan Love and Jayden Reed teams. So good luck to everyone chasing it. I know Nez fired hard at it this week. The 12-person drafts are so much fun. And if you want to get into the 12-person drafts, you don't have to do the Dawg Bowl. That's not the only one. There's the goal line stand. I showed that flea flicker. That's one of my favorite contests on the site right now. $75 single entry, 12 max there, or sorry, 12 entry, or God, I can't talk, 12-person draft. So hope we continue to see more of the 12-person contests here because I like it. Let's see here. Anything else we want to look at on the Deposit Kingdom front? I would have had a rough day had I not had my Jordan Love teams. In the smaller field stuff, I was on CJ Stroud doubles, but with Dalton Schultz. Did not have enough of the Diggs, Stroud, Nico teams in my bag in the smaller field. So that hurt me a little bit. I had a couple teams that I thought had some decent sweats with Brock Bowers, but then Brock Bowers didn't do anything either. Had the Wildcat. I believe I autoed these off of my ranks. Had one team finish 41st for $250. This was a Jayden Daniels, and you could tell this was one play we haven't got to talk about yet. But Taysom Hill ended up being one of the best plays on this slate. He gets you 14.4 points. Could have had a bigger day. Ended up leaving the game early. But this was a play, ADP of 35.7. his tight end position ranked tight end 10, not getting drafted in many of these unless you were in a room with John Warner. And yeah, that play worked out really well. It's funny because you think about how poor the tight end position is, and you look at what ended up being like the nuts. You know, you finish a draft with like Jayden Reed, Jordan Love, and Taysom Hill, but it starts to feel very thin for the Battle Royale to have essentially 3 scroll the F down picks. But it does go to illustrate specifically, I think, at the onesie positions, how big of an advantage there is of hitting on a top score from a player who isn't getting drafted in the majority of the contests. So yeah, Taysom Hill here. He was another guy I did some morning drafts to get a little bit more Taysom, but I did not have any Taysom Hill with Jayden Reed. Like you can see some of my other top teams here in the Battle Royale were like Jayden Daniels, Taysom Hill teams, where I was like, Taysom will be my scroll at the end, like a Joe Burrow to Chase with Taysom here. Nice teams, but just not enough from the quarterback position to get these up higher. Yeah, the Wildcat is awesome. Another contest, if you guys are just looking to kind of dip your toes in, you know, even before I start hopping in the $5 Battle Royales, like when I'm just trying to get a feel for the ADP, test out some ideas, I like hopping in that Wildcat draft $3 contest. Really nice price point here, and still a really nice prize at the top. You know, it's about half the size of the Battle Royale, a little over half the entry fee, obviously at $3, but still a 10K first place prize up here. So if you guys are looking to, you know, test out different things, get a feel for the underdog landscape, I do think the Wildcat at a $3 price point is one of the best kind of, you know, sandboxes, also relative to the reward if you do hit. And again, I will always cape for all of these single entry and 3 max contests as well. There were some fun winner take all. Shout out to Chipsy in the Deposit Kingdom Discord. I believe we call them the chip checks here because the dude is always winning those. Which one did he win? I forget if I was in it. I didn't get into all of those there this week. Let's rip a pennant. Relax. That does sound like a Chipsy type comment there. What was one of the? I was in one of those. There was a few different ones. There was a winner take all, and then there was one where it was like top 5. And again, those are going to play out like a qualifier, right? Where they are way more top heavy. So you got to kind of know, you know, what you're getting into. You're not going to get a min cash in those. It's going to have a winner take all dynamic, but those are fun. Especially if you want to build, you basically build with kind of like a big BR mindset because you really are just optimizing for like a 0.01 percentile finish. Oh yeah, this was the contest. Thank you, B-Spurf. Hail Mary. So this was the winner take all. Okay, so here's Chipsy here. Perfect. So you can see here, Chipsy takes this down 122 points. Second place, 0 points. So if you don't have the stomach for that swing, don't play the Hail Mary, but it's also a chance in a pretty small contest, 456. So this was about the size of the victory formation single entry that I won last week. And Chip takes it down here with a CJ Stroud to Nico, and then Jordan Mason, Alvin Kamara, Terry McLaurin, and George Kittle. So 2 Niners, 2 Texans, and then a one-off Kamara and McLaurin here. Takes it down $8,000 shipper for Chipsy. Congratulations. Yeah. And cover 3, I didn't get to that one this morning. Or on Sunday morning, so I can't pull that one up. But congratulations, B-Spurf, there as well. Just an awesome week for the Deposit Kingdom. I mean, I know there were some rough things, obviously the Rashee Rice and some other, you know, kind of buzz kills in that vein. But in general, just a huge smash week for the Deposit Kingdom. So fun seeing so many people up there at the top of the leaderboards, in these big contests, in the Dawg Bowl, all of that good stuff. So keep crushing Deposit Kingdom. Let's I'm going to pour a little coffee here. Let's keep moving along. We can check out some best ball stuff here. Yesterday was like a good day for my best ball bags. We can go look at exposures. You know, I had a decent amount of Jordan Addison. We can just look for just Best Ball Mania because that's all anyone cares to talk about anyways. But yeah, Chase Brown, who I was starting to get a little skittish on as far as my exposure to him. Why can't I find Best Ball Mania? There it is. That was nice to see here. It looks like Sharps, Kenneth Walker is going to play tonight. So my 2-week stint of Sharps as bell cow is going to come to a close. But yeah, Neighbors continues to look like a revelation. My second most drafted guy in BBM. Chase Brown has an awesome game. Brock comes down to earth. Rico, who is up here as well. I thought a very kind of positive turn for him. I was reading JJ's data dump this morning, and he was mentioning that Rico here, his running back rush shares in weeks 1 and 2 were 32% and 33%. And now in week 3 and 4, it's jumped up to 61.5% and 61.1%. So Rico trending in the right direction. Jonathan Brooks, excited to get him back in this, rejuvenated Panthers offense where Chuba continues to post most massive scores. Zay Flowers has cooled off a little bit. We don't need to talk about Troy Franklin. Bucky Irving up here heating up. Hopefully JSN can make some noise tonight. Xavier Worthy should see a pretty good boost now of opportunity with Bryce out. Kittle, Nico. So yeah, my top exposures, and then we'll just stop short of Kyle Pitts at 14%. We don't have to talk about that. But at the top for me, about as clean as it can get. No big injury landmines. And yeah, so feeling good about that. Although I don't think it's transferring over to my advance rates yet. We can check here. I think I'm pretty light on advance rates. Let's see. Advancing 23 of 150. So just short of expectation. Expectation would be around 16%, 2 of 12 there. But yeah, so a nice day to see some of this stuff surging. I think when, Jordan Addison gets going, like I can look at my Jordan Addison teams. I assume they're probably below this. Yeah, only 3 of 20 of my Addison teams advancing. I got to think that picks up. See how much of my Chase Brown is advancing. Chase Brown. Okay, that one's doing better. 8 of 26 of my Chase Brown team. So that one's already kind of coming along nicely there as well. Should we be masochists and look at our Kyle Pitts advance rate? 1 of 24. Oh my God. You know what they always, what's Karane's phrasing for best ball? He calls him a silent killer. Kyle Pitts is a not so silent killer. He is an aggressively loud, a screaming killer, if you will. But stats are for losers, and who cares, right? As always, if you're wondering about this is bbmdb.com. Our friend Patrick Donovan, he hangs out in the Ship Chasing Discord, is the man behind this site. All kinds of fun stuff you can look at. You can go look at your exposures as well. I pulled it up on Underdog, but you can also do it here and see it, as well as kind of your average versus ADP, how many teams you've drafted them on. You can go and look at specific roster combos if you want, and see here how many. One I was thinking about yesterday was actually I'll go back and look at mine. Jayden Reed and Jordan Addison teams, because I was already circling that week 17 matchup between Green Bay and Minnesota, and then to see them going back and forth yesterday got me very excited, re-excited about that week 17 game. I'm going to see what if I have any Reed and Addison mini teams here. Oh, okay. Only 2 here. One is just behind. This is the crazy thing about like best ball and even only having 150 entries, which sounds like a lot, is then realize, okay, I only have 2 teams that have Jayden Reed and Jordan Addison on it. Caleb Williams, Aaron Rodgers. This team could actually be good. No injuries on this one. Caleb, Aaron Rodgers, Jahmyr Gibbs, Kyron, Brian Robinson, Devin Singletary, Zach Charbonnet, Roshan. This team is pretty good here if I can get something from the quarterbacks. Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, Jayden Reed, Jordan Addison, Jamison Williams, Marvin Mims, Malachi Corley, and Yoshi Voss, and then Dalton Kincaid and Luke Musgrave at tight end. This one could make some noise. We need Garrett Wilson to stop being ass, but outside of that, has a little hope there. What is my last place team at? Let's see here. Last place has 318 points. It is 204 points out. Let's see this thing. Caleb Williams and Brock Purdy. It's a 0 RB team with Kenneth Walker, Trey Benson, Marshawn Lloyd, Ray Davis, Roshan Johnson, Tyrone Tracy. This one's actually just showed just some small sides of life this week with Roshan and Tracy, but 0 so far from Benson, Lloyd, and Ray Davis, and Walker being injured. The wide receivers, I would have thought this would have had more injuries on it. Like, this isn't the worst wide receiver room. Amon-Ra, Brandon Ayuk, DJ Moore, T. Higgins, Keon Coleman, Troy Franklin, Wan'Dale Robinson giving me some scores, Devontae Walker, and then Dalton Kincaid, Brock Bowers. I actually thought this was going to look a lot worse than it is, but apparently not scoring any points yet. Yeah, BBMD updated. Patrick actually mentioned to me that he had to do a manual push this morning. So yeah, again, shout out to Patrick here, Diablo. Everybody follow Patrick on Twitter. I'm going to drop his link in the chat here. He posts some different kind of data nuggets as he kind of combs through looking at the top weekly scores, the most advancing teams. So follow Patrick, aka Diablo_2 on Twitter. And you can also give him a little Venmo cup of coffee here for his efforts down below if you feel so inclined. Looks like he has a Patreon now as well that I just noticed. Someone asked me about eliminator teams. Yeah, my big elims have been, I think I lost 2 last week. Let me go back over here and see. My big eliminator that I drafted with John on Off and On the Clock is one of my better ones right now. Let's see here. Yeah, so I lost 2. This week I have 1 on the chopping block, 2 advancing. Not as it's getting a little sweatier. A 7th place, a 6th place, and a 5th place. Let's see if I have any hope to crack into the top 6. Tonight, CJ Stroud, Aaron Rodgers, Pacheco, James Cook, Mostert's not going to play, Brian Robinson, Kamani Vidal, Kendre Miller. So we're getting nothing more for running back. Yikes. Yeah, this team with Pacheco's in rough shape. Garrett Wilson, Debo, Rashee Rice. All right, end it. This team's done. This team's done. Rashee Rice, Pacheco. Jeez. Let's see this other team. Brock Purdy, Rodgers, Minshew, James Cook, Ramondre, Spears, Dobbins, Lloyd, Wilson. This one lost Cup. Didn't have Dell play this week. Diggs, McConkey's coming on. That's good. Patriots guys, Kittle, Jawan, Michael Mayer. This one can probably survive. And then this is the team I drafted with John. This team is good. Lamar, Daniel Jones, Derek Carr, has Barkley, Kamara, Ramondre, Dobbins, Sanders at running back. Wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, Ayuk, JSN, Palmer, Mike Williams, Michael Wilson, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt. Hovering water, they're treading water there at wide receiver. And then Andrews and Goddard. Geez, Andrews. Goddard's been fine. Andrews, my God, man. What happened? I need to just, I need to go look at the, I know he did nothing last night, but I haven't even gotten to look at like what the utilization was for their tight ends last night. And I'm kind of horrified to look. Let's see, week 4. Okay. Likely ran 60% of the routes, 17% targets per route run, 11% of the targets. Mark Andrews, 45% of the routes, 11% targets per route run, 6% of the targets, which amounted to how many? 1 target. 2 targets for Likely, 1 target for Andrews. I mean, it's up. His routes are up from last week, guys. We're trending in the right direction. Let's see if we look back at week 3. Where's week 3? Week 3, he was at 6 routes and he was up to 9 routes. I think that's improvement, guys. That's a big jump. When you're only running 6 routes, getting up to 9 is a big jump. All right. Let's see here. I think that's enough for best ball. Let's check in on the Guillotine League here as well. This is, of course, a Deposit Kingdom draft we did. This is a managed league, you know, so we did this draft. It was streamed on the channel if you want to go back and check out some of these teams. Basically, it is like the eliminator format on Underdog. The wrinkle is that because it's managed, whatever team gets eliminated and one team gets axed each week, their entire starting lineup gets tossed into the free agent pool. So then there's a pretty good influx of waiver options to pick over here. This was a sad week for me. I think I'm going to survive. I'm projected to still finish, middle of the pack. I have Smith and Gino and Gibbs going tonight, but I lose Rashee Rice on this team. He had been just like a smash pick where I got him, had him with neighbors. So my team, I'm going to have to do some work because took a 0 from Kyle Pitts, took a 0 from Rashee Rice, who's now done for the season. I did add Zach Moss the other week on waivers, and I played both him and Chase Brown here, so that worked out well. McLaughlin just trying to scam my way into some PPR points here. Then looking at my bench, I didn't play Wandell, which obviously was a mistake. He's going to get in the lineup going forward. Nice to see some signs of life from Judy. Colby Parkinson's going to end up being my new starting tight end, but I'm going to be going shopping this week in the Deposit Kingdom League. Let's see who is projected to lose is Deep Dish Keenan here. My guy, Matthew Wood. He has Zach Charbonnet going tonight. Only has 65 points right now. There is a team below him, Clay. But Clay has Tony Pollard and Amon-Ra and is 10 points down. So Matthew's going to need something from Sharbs. He basically needs, he can get like 6 or 7 points from Sharbs to hold off Amon-Ra and then have Pollard basically do nothing. I don't know. I'm trying to spin a story for you, Matthew. I think Clay is going to hunt you down with this team. So that is the Guillotine League up on Fantasy Life, who recently acquired these guys. And I'm pretty sure they just launched paid leagues as well. As far as in some different states, it doesn't look like they are in my states right now. There are some free tournaments as well. I believe there's some rolling options as far as doing a draft if you wanted to do one here in season, almost resurrection style. All right, let's head over and talk some Monday Night Football. We can build a pick 'em. We can do a draft. I actually did a few of the Monday Night Football primetime Paloozas earlier this morning. We do have the 2 games tonight. So there's some fun contests. I'm going to have to hop in some of these Monday Night Football only. Looks like we got a fullback dive. The primetime bash is a single entry. We got a DeBomb up here. And then the Palooza is the big one. This one's already 55% full, $10 entry. And we got 12,500 up top. Let's do I'll do a Palooza right now. Actually, let's do one of like the single entries instead, or a fullback dive. I'm gonna be selfish. What would be harder to fill? Let's do a Monday Night Football dive. So like the fullback dive, the $25 5 max, and see if we can get one of these filled to do a draft. And then we'll build a pick 'em here. Sorry, Jason. Jason, we lost Jason in the Guillotine League, so he's down bad. But that's what happens. Jason showed up late for the draft. Auto drafted the first 3 or 4 rounds. So, all right, we got the 1-2 here. It's a fun slate, as far as quarterback does fall off a cliff. You have Gino and Goff, and then you're down to Tyler Huntley and Will Levis. At tight end, it's also pretty gross. You get Laporta up top, and then you're down to Fant, Jonnu, and Chig. So I think how you want to play the onesies is tricky. I think it was it last week on the Monday Night Football? Like the QB4 option was not bad. Wasn't it Dak? I forget which one it was, but there was one of those prime times where Dak was like the QB4, and it's like, that does not feel bad at all. When you're talking about Will Levis, it does start to feel a little bad. So I might be prioritizing QB1 and QB2 a little bit more. And Laporta, I think, is completely good to go off the injury report. Yeah, I practiced in full on Friday. So yeah, I will take Amon-Ra second overall here. What is the time for these games tonight? Is it the 7:30, 8:15 again? Yeah, 7:30 Tennessee, Miami, 8:15 Seattle, Detroit. Levis double stacks for all the money. Yeah, I mean, you do have some good options as far as you know, Hopkins and Burks are pretty readily available. Let's see here. Let's try to set up the let's see if we could set up the double stack with Goff. We'll see what Blue Dog does here. Also don't mind grabbing Kenneth Walker. Oh wow, he goes Pollard. Yeah, let's try Laporta. And if not, we can grab Kenneth Walker here. Is there a chance Mostert is active? I saw the report that he's doubtful. I think he was officially listed as doubtful. So to me, that does not sound good. All right, we are able to get the Jared Goff double stack here, which feels good. This one's only 456 entrants. Getting I think the quarterback one. I guess you could debate Geno's projection versus Jared Goff, but Goff with Amon-Ra and Laporta. Yeah. At this point, man, I'm so desensitized. It's just like, who cares? Everything's a walking billboard. I have my ranks in here too. I think in these smaller field ones, you know, the big ones, because people are autoing them, it's more the Wild West. I guess this drafter might be autoing here. I think people stay in their lane a little bit more in the higher dollar ones more than the 10. All right, so what are we going to do at running back? This drafter behind us already has 2 running backs, so we can sit on running back. I'm just going to end up taking Spears here. So then that leaves me with a wide receiver option. We'll go Lockett and kind of play this game as the place you want to be. And then we'll grab Spears here as our RB1, so we're not locked out of running back and having to go to Sharps. Although, I guess this drafter here could take, he has 2 more picks left. I'm wondering if there's a chance if I could push Sharp or Spears all the way here, but this would require him. What do we think? The gap here, I think like if Waddle's here, I should probably take Waddle and then just push RB2. Because it feels like a much bigger gap down here. So Waddle goes. I'm just going to grab Spears. I think the gap, Spears to Sharps, doesn't feel as good to me. What do you guys think? Like how much work do you think Sharps, like if you had to assign a percentage on it, you know, previously it's been like 95% Sharps with Walker out. And I would say when Walker was healthy, it was what, like 85%? Or I don't know, what was it, like 70%? We could go look at the utilization. 35% for Sharps. That sounds about right. Let's see here. Jared Goff. Should we do a little scroll double stack here? I mean, like at this point, like what's the difference between like Tyler Boyd and Tim Patrick here? Yeah, let's do we'll get a Tim Patrick and triple stack Goff here. Yeah, I hope you're right. I hope it is. I do think Sharps has earned a little bit more than maybe he would have if Walker didn't get injured. I will be interested to see that split. Go AZ says Detroit versus the rush is good, and Seattle might need to pass more. Sharps passing RB. Yeah, not a bad thought there. Josh says 2 drives, Walker, 1 drive, Sharps type of rotation. All right. Yeah, it seems like we're all kind of in the ballpark of that like 65, 35-ish range. Let's build a pick 'em here. And it does look like we can also do a first look after this. It looks like the stuff dropped, or at least the first contest here, the Wildcat is up for next week. So we can wrap up with that. Let's build a pick 'em here. We were really close last week, I believe, on the pick 'em we built on stream. So let's all put our heads together for some ideas here. I like pulling up. So Fantasy Life has a pick 'em entry builder. This is part of the Fantasy Life Plus package, all kinds of good stuff over there on Fantasy Life, including this Pick 'em Builder. You can kind of toggle by game, and then it'll show you the biggest edges relative to the Fantasy Life projections. So it looks like the Fantasy Life projections, like Jaylen Waddle tonight, 44 versus a line of 36.5. Likes Tony Pollard receiving yards here, 4 yards higher. Likes the JMO stuff. Yeah, JMO kind of had a down game last week. I'm kind of intrigued about going back to Jamison Williams here. I want to look at his usage real quick and see what kind of happened last week. So routes still good. Just didn't have quite the amount of targets, was 8, 11, 3. But to me, that you can tell here just the overall routes for the offense were completely down. Amon-Ra only around 26, Jamison only around 24, versus 53 the previous week. So I forget exactly what that game script was in week 3. But I like the idea of a Jamison bounce back here. Let's see what his numbers are. 3.5 receptions, 42.5 receiving yards. Yeah, I think I like the 42.5. I think I like going to JMO here at home. And I put it in my build, and it snap goes up to 43.5. Oh, thank you for this. Friedman is on the under for Pro Bowler Snoop Huntley's rushing. Let's check that out. What do we have his rushing at? 31.5 rushing yards. Okay. Yeah, I guess even looking at some of these old games from when he last played was not clearing that number regularly. I will tail Friedman here. Thank you, Historical Anomalies. And now we can officially say we know ball with this entry. I should also mention I'll be wrapping up here just before 11:45, at which point ADP chasing will be live on the Ship Chasing channel. I have that redirect set up, so if you guys just want to roll right into ADP chasing, you can just refresh this when this stream ends, and you can watch those guys: Sam Sherman, Davis Maddock, Pat Kerrane. I believe they're switching up the format today. I think they're doing a resurrection draft, so I don't know how many victory laps, panic buttons, and bag defending will go down. But if you guys have been wanting to dip your toes into the resurrection streets and kind of see the new values for these players post week 4, that will be a fun draft. And then we also have it set up. Davis is going live right after ADP chasing over on his channel. So you could theoretically today watch like 6 straight hours of content across my channel, Ship Chasing, and Davis Maddock, if you were so inclined. Let's see here. Any other ideas? Jason likes the Montgomery rush attempts. Do you like the over or under? You gotta let me know here which one you like. 63.5 rushing yards, or attempts, 14.5 coming off of a 23 attempt game, 17. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad to me either. We could put that in there. I just want to look real quick at the backfield split here with him and Gibbs. So it's a pretty near 50-50 split. Week 1, it was 55 to 38% Montgomery. Week 2, it was like really close 50-50. And then week 3, it tilted back a little bit to David Montgomery at 55% there. But yeah, betting on David Montgomery getting the ball in his belly is never a bad thing. Let's see. We got some other ideas. Either Titan running back receiving yards. Yeah, the Underdog one like that with Pollard. Let's check those out here. Spears is 2 receptions or 11.5 receiving yards. And Pollard is 2.5, although that's juiced down to 0.89. And then where's the receiving yards? Why can't I find that? 13.5 receiving yards. Let's look at that one in the utilization report here as well, just to see how things have been trending. So if we look here over at targets and routes, on the season, Pollard's actually been running more at 50%,
Spears down here only at 38%. He had that 53% week in week 1, but now has been down here at 34-30. So Pollard running more routes, also getting more targets, 9 targets the past 2 weeks versus the 6. I kind of like that. The fantasy life likes it too. Tony Pollard, higher receiving yards. Let's do that. Let's take that higher than 13.5. I like that one. So now we got Jameson Williams, 43.5. Tyler Huntley lower than 31.5 rushing yards. Montgomery, 14.5 rushing attempts. Pollard higher than 13.5 receiving yards. Let's find one more here. And then I might do a little round robining of this after the fact. Gavin likes Achane rush attempts. Let's see here. 14.5 rush attempts. That does seem, well, interesting. So at Seattle, he only had 11. That was a really negative game script. Buffalo, he had 22. Let's look at that here. Obviously, no Mostert tonight. I want to see who else was getting some carries in week. Let's see in week 3. So in week 3, Jeff Wilson had 3 rush attempts. Jalen Wright had 2 rush attempts. Yeah, I don't know. That one feels a little tougher to me to come around on. 14.5 feels like a nice number. What's up, Crutches? Thank you. Yeah, Bones like the Pollard rush attempts. Yeah, I think I like that. I'm kind of sold on the receiving yards. Anomalies likes was still at 50%, moving better here. Oh, talking about DeAndre Hopkins. Oh, here it is from John. Over 36.5. Achane under receptions with Snoop at quarterback. I do like the idea of correlating a Dolphins receiving under. What was the Achane? Yeah, I do think I would do it as receptions, but man, it's so scary with Achane because he's so good. But yeah, I mean, how much is, although isn't that kind of negatively correlated? If we're saying Huntley isn't going to be rushing, isn't the thought that he would maybe be more willing to check down? Maybe that's trying to be too precise within this entry, but I don't know if that tracks quite as much for me. Let's see what some of the other fantasy life ideas. So we did get the JMO higher. We did get, it looks like it does like the hires on some of these. I think maybe something with the Seattle passing game would be good. Like if we're playing JMO to have a couple big plays, if we're playing Montgomery to get a bunch of rushing attempts, maybe something with like Geno pass attempts would make sense. You could always check out the JSN here. Geno pass attempts is 35. What's he been at here? 34, 44, 25. So kind of all over the place there. 248.5 passing yards, a big one. You don't have to twist my arm here on JSN. When Seahawks couldn't run against the Pats, that's when JSN got peppered. Let's see. What do we got with our guy Jackson here? So, man, higher on 4.5 receptions is juiced down to 0.86. Receiving yards, 50.5. First quarter receiving yards, 5.5. That's kind of cheeky. Metcalf over longest reception, 22.5. You know what? I believe Jeff over at Fantasy Life. I should go check this out. So Jeff does an article each week. Let's see if I can find it. Looking at building a pick 'em build, and I want to say he included something with DK Metcalf earlier in the week. I want to see what he said about DK. So yeah, he has DK Metcalf higher than 69.5 receiving yards. By the way, 2 weeks ago, and I feel sick to my stomach because I didn't tail it, but he hit a 65x play. He does a weekly write-up here with his favorite pick 'em entries for Underdog. I just want to see what he said about Metcalf. Lions have allowed the most yards to opposing wide receivers this season. In the one close game the Seahawks have played, he received 31% target share, with Seattle set as 3.5-point underdogs. It's likely he approaches his target ceiling in this spot against a poor secondary. Okay, let's see. Let's go with something Metcalf, either the receiving yards. Man, the receiving yards 49.5 is 0.71. So I'd need to adjust that one on the slider. Where did we see the longest reception? 22.5 longest reception. Yeah. I mean, that is like a big number, but I mean, he's been breaking off so many big plays. I don't mind that call. I don't mind that call. All right, let's do that. All right. Here's the entry, or we could just play the touchdown as well. Like, I think that's another way to kind of play. Like, what do we like better? 22.5 longest reception at even money, or just take the touchdown spice at 1.39. We can leave the reception in. So this has a nice little 20x here. I do not have any promos in my lobby right now, but you might have one. So I am going to get my entry in here. I will share this in the chat. If you guys are watching this after the fact, I'll also pin it in the comments and put it in the description if you want to tail us tonight. And I think we have time here for one underdog draft here. Let's take an early look at the week 5 slate on Underdog. I'm obviously doing this completely blind. We're going to hop in here and see what we have going. Is this right? Josh Allen is the number 1 overall pick in early ADP. That doesn't seem right. Let's look at this slate. So we have Cleveland, Washington, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Houston. That could be fun. Indy, Jacksonville, Carolina, Chicago, Miami, New England, Arizona, San Francisco, Las Vegas, Denver, Green Bay, Rams. That could be fun. Giants, Seattle. So that is our slate there. And we'll see how our first draft of week 5 goes. 10x on a Bobo anytime TD. My God. How high is Reed? That's a good question. Probably not high enough. ADP of 18.3. So that puts him as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The wide receiver 7. All right. I think that's pretty fair. I'm a Reed bull, but even I would say, yeah. It's interesting, like, Neighbors target share here, but man, that matchup, Green Bay at the Rams, I like that. Derrick Henry goes 101. I was hoping Nico would fall to me. Let's we'll grab Chase. I'm not taking one of these quarterbacks here. This is a good question. It's been so long ago, I forgot that he left the Thursday night game in the concussion protocol. I haven't seen any updates. I don't know if you guys have seen it. But yeah, hopefully he goes. Reed went at 7 in your draft. All right, the steam is coming. Reed will be a 2-turn pick with no Watson against the Rams. Yeah, you're probably right. What do we think a good ADP is for Josh Allen here? Jonathan Taylor's banged up. Mild ankle sprain. Yeah. Josh Jacobs' rushing shares are down. Let's grab Marvin Harrison. Arizona's going to have to throw a ton in this spot, I would imagine. Jayden Reed goes here to the Nico drafter. Man, at least I was. That's one of the sick things about like the daily game when it functions a little bit like a stock market too, where it's like, man, now I'm not going to get as much Jayden Reed this week. But we had our week, we had our fun, and now we might just have to let him go. Who knows? I'll be curious to see where the projections shake out on him. My guess is he is going to probably project a little worse than his ADP. Although I want to look at his overall routes and stuff too. I don't think Jacobs would be that high gross running back slate. Yeah, it kind of looks like it. All right. I think at this point, this is a good price for Jacobs, right? Or not Jacobs, Josh Allen. Let's grab Josh Allen here. Buffalo at Houston. You get the revenge game for Diggs and DJ Moore. But yeah, we've seen like Houston just needs to be slightly pushed. Probably, yeah, at this point we're just kind of in the I guess we'll stack up. What did Dalton Kincaid's work end up being last night? I mean, I know they were getting boat race, so it's like 7 targets still. That's not bad. 32% targets per route run. Let's we'll stack up Dalton Kincaid here with Josh Allen. Get Swifty. Yeah, let's see what Wix's what's Wix's ADP? 35.8. Yeah, I just wanted to real quick look at the Green Bay stuff yesterday. So in week 4, yeah, see Jayden Reed, like not a massive target share, 16% of the targets. Dontavian Wicks had a 26% target share. See, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to have so little Reed and I'm going to have a lot of Wicks this week or Dobbs. Yeah, 29% targets per route run from Dontavian Wicks. And now he's going to get the opportunity. Romeo Dobbs still out there running the routes, not commanding a ton of targets. Malik Heath enters the chat, 11% of the routes. Bo Melton, 11%. All right, so we need, we're good at the onesies. Tucker Kraft week. Yeah, what did let's check the tight end split. Tucker Kraft up to 86. Wow. Yeah, so he's really separating from Musgrave from just a routes perspective. 7 targets to Musgrave's 3. Yeah, Kraft's going to be a nice play. All right, let's not worry about the matchup. We'll do a little Arizona bounces back. We'll do Connor and Harrison here. And then I'm going to shut this down and ADP chasing will be going live here immediately following this show at 1:45. If you guys are new here, subscribe to the channel. We'll have the full week of regular programming, all the shows, Swolecast, First Look. We'll have lulls. We'll have the Shipcast on Thursday night, often on the clock. Block Party with JM, a video on the Deposit Kingdom channel. Should we do Wix for the culture? Let's do Wix for the culture. Here it is. The crowd goes wild. Could I take Kenneth Walker versus a Giants team? Is that the better pick? Probably. Are we going to scroll the F down and have some fun with Dontavian Wicks? Yes, we are. All right. There it is. The first look. We did it all. GPPs, Battle Royale, Best Ball, Guillotine, Pick'ems, and First Look. Appreciate you guys hanging out here with me. Thank you for all the nice things about I can't call it a bank. Can't call it a bank. The top 10s in the Battle Royale was a very fun week. Always nice to get in that win column early. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your week. Go check out ADP Chasing, and we'll see you guys next time on the Portfolio Review.